Okay, in this video, I want to actually work through an example that I don't believe is anybody's topic, so I'm not stealing someone's thunder here in my classes. But it'll illustrate the thesis and the schematic section, and then the schematic writing that you need to produce, the schematic part, and then it'll show you how I would expand upon it. And then I'll also discuss eventually some objections to this. Now I have a little cheat sheet here that I have lying on my laptop, so if you see me glancing down, that's what I'm doing. My thesis, let's just say my thesis is that cell phones, alright, driving while talking on the cell phone does not need to be an illegal activity. So there's a lot of a common sense, there's a common sense notion, say, out there that, you know, we need to outlaw talking on your cell phone and driving at the same time and all that. And you might be, well, no, you know, I want to argue against that. Now, you're not controverting it. To controvert it would to be that cell phones actually help you drive safer. You would just be challenging the notion and trying to correct it that, no, in fact, this doesn't need to be outlawed. So that's your thesis. The act of talking on your cell phone and driving at the same time does not need to be an illegal activity. It doesn't need to be outlawed. Now, what are the steps you think you would take? Quickly, I think that there are at least three. One is that you have to show something like this. Okay, so imagine yourself again speaking to a crowd, and you're going to tell them, by the way, I need to say that in academic writing like this, it's fine for you to tell your audience via the actual writing that you're doing, hey, this is what I'm about to say. This is my thesis. Here are my main points for that support the thesis. I'm about to say this in the next 3 pages, and then you go on and say it, and then when you finish that, you come back and say, now quickly, here's what I just said. Now, some people will think that that's repetitive, I'm talking about, say, assessors, like a teacher or an editor or something like that, and unnecessary, and if, you know, they really don't like it, just take it out. But I think the real key here is for you to actually look at, say, 10 actual pieces of academic writing, and just for the sake of managing them and being able to examine them quickly, let's just pick 10 journal articles. And if you look at 10 academic journal articles, I bet 5, 6, 7 out of the 10 are going to do what I just said. You know, they're following the old adage of public speaking. First, you know, tell your audience what you're about to say, then say it. Then when you're done, remind them what you just said. So because that's going to show up, I think, in 5 or 6 or 7 examples of in the journal articles, regardless of what some teacher may say. I think that at that point, that's preference. If someone says, we don't need it, you get it out, and it's based on taste, but it's certainly not based on the actual existing work. There's that trend. You can't deny it. If it's 6 or 7 out of 10 do it, then it's a legitimate professional technique. So I would definitely say in your thesis and schematic section, you're telling your reader, hey, this is what I'm about to say in the next 5 pages. Okay, my thesis is this: cell phones and driving don't need to be outlawed together, and here's why. Here are my main points that I'm going to develop later. First, cell phone, talking on the cell phone is no more distracting than other activities we do that are not outlawed. 2, advances in cell phone technology have eliminated the need to hold it with your hand. And 3, the data that shows cell phones increase car accidents is old and emotion laden and just not well done. Those are my 3 points. My thesis is cell phones and driving don't need to be outlawed. In your proof section, then you start dealing with each one of those main points and support it so that at the end your thesis makes sense. And the first one you said was that cell phone activity in the car is no less distracting than others, like eating lunch. So then you talk about how many people eat lunch. Maybe you find a survey somewhere. Maybe you've done a survey among your friends, or you found some of this information that actually tells you some numbers of how many people eat lunch in their car, how many people drive with their knees, how many people are fiddling around with audiobooks in their car, or trying to. So, you know, there's actually now this is anecdotal, so it wouldn't go any far, but I wonder how many people actually try to work on their laptop in their car. And I've actually heard of that. I'm just thinking of one instance, but, you know, what about a newborn, having a newborn in the car, and the mother or father that's driving, is trying to reach back and adjust the mirror and give the newborn a bottle, and trying to grab a book that's fallen. If you have kids in the car and someone drops a book, you're reaching down there to get that book. So, these activities aren't outlawed. So why should cell phone? It's no less distracting, no more distracting. You might make that case, and you really expand it with some data and testimony and examples, and say that in a paragraph or 2 or 3. Okay. Now, the second point you were going to make to support your thesis overall was that advances in cell phone technology have eliminated the use of hands. And you can cite these technologies and the Bluetooth and the speakers, and how new cars just have a built-in now and voice control and voice command prompts and all that, and bring in data. How many new cars are going to have this? Well, what if it's standard now? What if all of them are going to have it? So, by the way, I'm making all this stuff up, but this is how, these are actually some points I would consider building in if the data I find supports it. So that's another big chunk of your proof section that you would just have to expand with, like, examples and statistics about and explanations of this new technology. I think the third one was talking about how the data that actually came about to place this notion in the mindset of the population at large are like from 2 or 3 studies, and the studies are over 10 years old already, and in fact they weren't done very well because they were done by insurance companies, and they were just a survey. It wasn't any controlled experiment. It was just a survey. Now, what I'm saying is, if you actually have evidence that that's the way the data was developed, then you can come back and say, we just really don't have data to support this. So, see, what I've just done there is I've just showed you how I would be trying to expand in my proof section everything, the little sort of little outline, little one-sentence summaries of the main points I provided in my schematic section. That's what you need to be writing now. And see, hopefully it's not a new thing, because as you've done all your research, you've gotten the data, and you've started thinking about it as you would think about a puzzle, how to put the puzzle together. So you've got the pieces together, and you've got the red puzzle pieces here, and the blue puzzle pieces here, and the square edges here, the straight edges here, and the corner pieces, and now you're just putting it together. That's what you do at that bottom section. Now, I'm going to stop this video. The next one I'm going to do is going to be exit strategies with dealing with the cell phone example.